The 1938 Munich Agreement was a settlement between Europe's major power, Britain, Germany, France, and Italy, regarding the Sudetenland. The Sudetenland was a part of Czechoslovakia that includes over 3 million ethnic Germans. One of Hitler's foreign policy aims was to unite all Germans in one state. Much of Europe celebrated the Munich Agreement, as they considered it a way to prevent a major war on the continent. Adolf Hitler announced that it was his last territorial claim in Northern Europe. Today, the Munich Agreement is widely regarded as a valid act of appeasement. In hindsight, there were a lot of people who opposed the idea of the Munich Agreement, considering its creator Adolf Hitler, the notorious leader of the Nazi. One of the strongest voices representing this protest is from Churchill himself, who will be England's infamous prime minister at the time of World War II later on. Before, Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill at that time was just a normal politician, but he was fairly critical against Nazi and Neville Chamberlain's approach during the Munich Agreement. Throughout the 1930s, he constantly warned of the growing Nazi threat and predicted that appeasement from weakness will be futile. From early on, he saw that the Nazis were committed not just to rearming, but to territorial expansion and racial conquest, and therefore posed a real and growing danger to European civilization. As early as 1934, Churchill was convinced that Hitler would resort to armed force. He expressed his anxiety about the Nazi growing empire.
There is a nation which has abandoned all its liberties in order to augment its collective strength. There is a nation which, with all its strength and virtue, is in the grip of a group of ruthless men preaching a gospel of intolerance and racial pride, unrestrained by law, by parliament, or by public opinion. In that country, all pacifist speeches, all morbid war books are forbidden or suppressed, and their authors rigorously imprisoned. From their new table of commandments, they have omitted, "Thou shalt not kill."
On September 29, when war seemed certain, Hitler accepted the troops would occupy only the agreed areas of Czechoslovakia, that Germany would guarantee the independence of the rest of Czechoslovakia. Chamberlain signed the Munich Agreement and broke home, so he claimed peace with honor.
I had another talk with the German Chancellor, Herr Hitler. And here is the paper which bears his name upon it as well as mine. We regard the agreement signed last night and the Anglo-German naval agreement as symbolic of the desire of our two peoples never to go to war with one another again.
Churchill was enraged by Chamberlain's decision, almost the ink was dry on the agreement. By signing the Munich Agreement, Britain had suffered, in his word, a total humiliated defeat. Quite simple. The country had suffered and defeat without a war. A total and unmitigated defeat was a speech by Winston Churchill in the House of Commons at Westminster on Wednesday, 5 October 1938. Churchill spoke for 45 minutes to criticize the government for signing the agreement and in general for its policy of appeasement. Churchill had hoped for a reasonable settlement of the Sudetenland issue, but he was adamant that Britain must fight for the continued independence of Czechoslovakia. Among his criticism of the government, Churchill said that the Soviet Union should have been invited to take part in the negotiation with Hitler. Although it was one of Churchill's most famous speeches, the Commons voted 366 to 144 and to support a motion in favor of the government's signing of the agreements. Churchill and his Conservative Party supporters chose to abstain and did not vote against the motion.
On 15 March 1939, Germany conquered the rest of Czechoslovakia, just as Churchill had predicted 5 months earlier. After Chamberlain had declared war against Germany on 3 September 1939, one of his first actions was to restore Churchill to government office. Churchill was reappointed First Lord of the Admiralty, the office that he held in 1940 at the beginning of the First World War. On 10 May 1940, he succeeded Chamberlain, who had resigned as Prime Minister. His story is a world full of if. If Hitler had not violated the Munich Agreement, if he had confined himself, Churchill would probably have withered away on the backbenches while Chamberlain basked in the role of peacemaker.